Hi everybody, my name is Kelby Lawrence. This is my presentation for first generation students in higher education for HEA 674, Students in the College Environment. So 24 to 56% of the college student population in higher education in the United States is considered a first generation student. Why is there a range? Well, the range overall is due to the definitions that institutions use. So some institutions say that a first generation student is someone that has parents with no college experience at all. And then other institutions say that parents who have not completed a bachelor's degree are considered first generation. So that means that if your parent has an associate's degree, at some institutions, that still means that you are a first generation student. Overall, first generation students may experience more academic struggles. So struggle in the classroom, not exactly sure anything that entails to do with coursework. They work more hours in college, so they may have family obligations, people to support at home, things like that. They have fewer financial resources, so they don't have the means to be able to maybe get all of the books that are required or the materials that are required, let alone to even pay to come to college. They tend to have lower grades, which, I mean, the above three things could possibly be a huge factor in that. They have a lower rate of graduation, so most students, even to get to the institution seems like a big deal, and then to graduate is its own obstacle. And then they struggle with the conflict between the demands of school and their community or family priorities. So if you live in a household where you're the oldest child and there are three younger siblings and your parents both work, that requires you to possibly babysit and not be able to attend your classes as easily as you would like to. So those obligations outside the classroom tend to weigh large on the first generation student. So continuing with the history of first generation students, college readiness is an equity issue. There are many reasons for unequal opportunities for first generation students, and some start even before college matriculation. We can see that by where someone grew up, the opportunities they have in high school, if they attend a public high school, a rural high school, a private high school, a high school in a large populated area, a city, a suburb. All those factors play into the readiness for first generation students, and a lot of that happens in high school or whatever they were doing prior. Next, we look at the lack of engagement with families of first generation students in research and practice, as their support and experiences can go unnoticed. So a lot of time people look at any student, let's say, and they assume that there's family support and people backing them at home and helping them fill out the paperwork, helping them sign up for their classes, all these things at home. And that's not necessarily true for first generation students. It can be difficult to be someone in your family that goes outside the normal of what your parents have known. So the lack of engagement with families is a large factor for first generation students. Also, first generation students are seen as barrier breakers, as they're breaking down barriers or obstacles to achieve their goals in higher ed. So they are literally, again, going outside of the normal of what they have known from parents or family members, and deciding that higher education serves a value for them and their family moving forward. So hence the term barrier breakers. And then once first generation students get to college, they're less likely to complete their degree in the expected amount of time, in the expected time frame. So think about that. At a 2-year institution, your degree is supposed to take you 2 years and 4 semesters. bachelor's degree, you're looking at 8 semesters, 4 years. That is the traditional way. But as we have seen, first generation students may have obligations to their families or things like that. So maybe they attend only part-time. So it might take them, anywhere from 8 to 16 semesters. So because of that time frame, it can be harder for those students to finish their degree. They're also more likely to leave higher education prematurely and without a degree. Again, those outside factors for first generation students that seem to be common, such as family, community, cultural background, have to be weighed against the importance of higher education. And when you have parents and family members that never attended, they might not see the value in it. So that's a huge problem for these students. And then first generation students are less likely to return to higher education even when controlling their high school preparation, race, gender, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. So when looking at all those things, there's no one specific race, gender, ethnicity, status when it comes to first generation students. They are just categorized as first generation students. So, again, they're less likely to return to higher ed. Now let's look at some data on first generation students. So you can see here, this picture on the right basically sums up the outcomes are different for adults with and without a college educated parent. Again, this is speaking to just one parent with a degree, with a bachelor's degree. So students that have at least one parent with a bachelor's degree are 44% more likely to get their degree, which makes sense, right? If you have a parent at home that's done this and can explain it to you and help you do the paperwork and the process and support you in those courses, you're more likely to get that degree and finish. 70% to 26%, that's a huge percentage there. Of a difference. And then students who have at least one parent with a bachelor's degree have a median income difference of $36,200. That's significant. That's an entry level position. That's a car, right? Like that's a large difference in your income. And again, this is for one parent with a bachelor's degree versus no parent with a bachelor's degree. So, right, $135,800 versus $99,600. And then students who have at least one parent with a bachelor's degree have a median wealth of household of $92,300 higher than someone with no parents with a bachelor's degree, right? So $244,500 versus $152,000 is a huge number, almost $100,000 difference of wealth of household for, again, I can't stress this enough, one parent. Could you imagine what these numbers would be if there were two parents? So this data is relative, right? Because you can see the overall success when students have a parent with a bachelor's degree, but then also this could be a motivating factor for those students who are first gen that want to get their degree because they're setting up their future children, if they'd like them, for success here. So I found this data really interesting. Again, let's look at some more data. So this one is about couples. So we're going to look at, both partners versus one partner versus no one having education. So having a bachelor's degree increases the median household income for partners. So if you look at our diagram here on the right, both parents are first generation. You're looking at $122,200. One parent is first generation and the other one is to have at least a bachelor's degree is $160,900. So right there you're looking at roughly $38,000 median household income increase. And then both parents having a bachelor's degree. That goes up again $20,000 roughly for $180,200. So you can see the difference between financial success for a household with people with a degree. Now, having a bachelor's degree also increases the median net worth for partners. So again, we'll refer to the diagram here on the right, where if both partners are first generation, you're looking at a net worth of $236,600. Again, a median net worth, excuse me. One partner is first generation, the other is has their bachelor's degree. Do you see that increase right there? $474,200. That's a crazy amount. That's $200,000+ just for one person having that degree. And then if they both have their bachelor's degree, you're looking at a median net worth of $569,700. Which, I mean, overall from both of them having it versus none of them having a degree, you're looking at $330-something thousand of median net worth. So what does this all mean? Again, how does this tie back to first generation students? Is that they have a greater potential for future children if one parent has a bachelor's degree, but also they have greater success if they plan to continue on themselves in higher education. So I found both of these data examples great. Okay, so now let's look at effective approaches for first generation students in higher education. So first one is the Bridge Summer Program. This is designed to address the personal and inhibiting institutional factors as students transition into college. So they've been suggested to increase academic readiness, promote inclusion and integration into college academic and social community, introduce students to the available supportive instruction, academic support programs and services, and promote self-efficiency and persistence. So this just gives students over the summer before they enter their institution a chance to essentially get on a level playing field as first-gen students, to know more about the institution specifically, right? Because every institution deals with things differently. So that is a great option for students, and seen at quite a few institutions are Bridge Summer programs. Next is our first year seminar courses. So these are taken in the first semester to help students start off on the right foot. There's really 4 categories of these courses. There's remedial and study skills seminars. So this is really for those students that are coming in maybe behind, that need to learn those basic study skills. There's discipline-based seminars, so introducing you to your major or to their major or academic department. There's special academic seminars, which are interdisciplinary topics. And then there's college transition, where it's the orientation of the college, life transitions, and academic skills. These are seen quite a bit. The institution that I work at, all of our degree programs are required to have some sort of a first year seminar, whether it's a course or embedded into another course. So this is a great option and has seen success for the first generation students. Next, and maybe less common, are peer mentoring programs. So these offer mentoring relationships that are learner-centered and include passing knowledge or skills while assisting in navigating unfamiliar challenges and opportunities. Students building relationships with other students they can identify with can help lead to success due to having each other's best interest in mind. The best way to learn something when you're not sure, students typically go to someone that's their age, or a friend, or something like that. So that's why peer mentoring programs, though less common, are very successful for first-gen students. The final one that I have here is external support companies. So options such as Scholar Match, who work with first-generation students from junior year of high school all the way to that student obtaining a degree. The support includes applying, being admitted, financial aid, attending, graduation, and degree earning. Outside sources offer support because it's 100% tailored to those students' needs. It has nothing to do with the institution that they're attending, which could be a huge benefit or a slight drawback for students. So implications for practice. First generation students have no external support for how to be successful in higher education. None or very little preparation is offered in high school. First generation students have been more successful when offered support through courses or professional staff at an institution. And when first generation students finish their degree, they're financially more successful. Recommendations for future practice. So have all institutions define first generation students the same. Having a range of percentage is really difficult. And then if you transfer an institution, you might have been a first generation student there, but then you're not going forward. That can be really difficult. Explore further into the quantitative data regarding summer bridge courses, first year seminar courses, peer mentoring programs, and outside support agencies. But again, until institutions define their first generation students, the data is really hard to collect on these because you can't compare data when it's considered different definitions. Requiring students to take these resources or have a waiver system for those who don't. So making everybody take, again, like my institution, their first year seminar course. And then institutions having dedicated staff for first generation students, or consider external consultation, because everywhere you go, everything is different. And if there's a staff member that every student could go to for help, that's a huge resource for first generation students.